This is the greed that they talk about in the Bible because, what do you mean? This is not even the full list of all the variants and versions of Taylor Swift's new album. You know, this is a one-trick pony, and the trick is asking for more money. All right, I'm going to be real with you. I swear I was just scrolling, minding my business when I saw it 28, and I had to stop and ask myself, is this a joke? Because apparently Taylor Swift, yes, the Taylor Swift just dropped 28 versions of the same album. 28. I know I already said it, but that number doesn't even sound real. That's a small classroom. That's an entire calendar month of Taylor albums, one per day. And y'all, before the Swifties comes for me, relax. I'm not here to bash Taylor as a person. She's talented. She's smart. She's built an empire. But we got to talk about how that empire is starting to look less like music and more like a luxury brand with a soundtrack. Because the level of money-hungry marketing that's happening here, it's wild. Imagine this. You drop one album, okay? But then you sell 28 versions of it, each one with a slightly different cover. One's Sunset Glitter, one's Pink Spritz Deluxe, one's limited edition Target Glitter Spritz, Sparkle Vinyl, whatever. They all have the same songs, the same lyrics, but one might have, I don't know, a handwritten thank you note photocopied in cursive font. And of course, fans, the Swifties are buying them, all of them, because they love her. They want to support her. And I get that, okay, I get the loyalty. But at what point do we stop pretending this is about love and admit it's just straight-up greed? Really think about it. If any other artist did this, if Drake dropped 28 versions of Certified Lover Boy, people would riot. But because it's Taylor, people are like, she's such a marketing genius. And I'm like, yeah, she's a genius, like a financial one. It's gotten to a point where it doesn't even feel like she's selling music anymore. And look, I know there's going to be people in the comments nobody's forcing you to buy it. Yeah, I know, bestie. Nobody's forcing anyone. But when someone you admire keeps dropping exclusive versions and limited editions, your brain starts tricking you into thinking you'll miss out if you don't. That's not choice. That's psychology. And honestly, I might have let it slide if it was just the albums. But lately, it's starting to feel like this whole empire runs on control of fans, of narratives, of criticism, because now it's not just about selling more stuff. It's about silencing anyone who doesn't clap loud enough. Yeah, that's where it gets messy. Because if you say anything remotely negative about Taylor's new album, even something small like, this one's not her best, suddenly, you're a hater, a misogynist, a fake fan, calm down, I just said track 7 was mid. And that's not even the craziest part. There's this YouTuber, huge channel, super chill dude, who made a video about Taylor's new album. He said he didn't love one of the songs. Read a few of the lyrics out loud, and guess what? He got copyright claimed. Not for singing, not for using the music, for speaking the lyrics, y'all. He didn't even hum. He didn't whisper a melody. He said words out loud. And Taylor's team said, yeah, that's ours now. I'm sorry, but what are we doing? Do we live in a world where billionaires own sentences now? I am sure it got overturned later, but still, that's the perfect example of how far this whole thing has gone. It's not about art anymore. It's about control. Control of image, control of money, control of what people are allowed to say. And if you don't think that's greedy, I don't know what to tell you. Imagine this. You make a video reviewing an album, and the person you're reviewing gets to take a piece of your ad revenue just because you said their lyrics. That's next-level power. That's not fandom. That's feudalism. And it's weird, right? Because Taylor Swift is supposed to represent independence, authenticity, creative freedom, all that good stuff. But lately it feels like that image is covering up the reality. She's not selling empowerment, she's selling exclusivity. And honestly, I think we're finally starting to see it. I'm now on 30, Taylor, please. That number 1 is yours. You've got it already. If you're trying to break a D's record, according to the calculations, you've already surpassed it in days. Undeserving, but hey, that's not why I'm here. Why that? Everything about this era has just felt so tacky. I already gave my review on the album. It's not even worth all of this. If it was even a good album, I would say, okay, I hear it, but it's not a good album. I want to say her poor fans, but these same fans are the same ones that go and buy this. Who the hell needs 28 plus versions of an album? So let's just start with the number again. 28 versions. And you know what? The more I say it out loud, the more it starts sounding like performance art, like she's not releasing an album, she's conducting a social experiment. Because, who needs 28 versions of the same thing? Not remixes, not live versions, not acoustic cuts. Literally the same songs, same vocals, just new packaging. It's like if Apple released the exact same iPhone 28 times, but this one had a slightly different wallpaper, and everyone lined up outside to buy it. Actually, wait, that's kind of what's happening here. And look, I get it. She's a marketing genius. Every version has a story or an exclusive quote on the back that's like, "This one represents my inner sunrise," whatever that means. But y'all, at some point, artistic expression starts looking a whole lot like strategic manipulation. 'Cause let's be honest, she's not doing this to make fans happy. She's doing it because it works. One version comes in Moonlight vinyl. Another is the Candlelight Deluxe. Then there's the Target exclusive that costs just a bit more because, of course it does, it's the illusion of rarity. It makes fans feel like they're part of something special when really they're just being milked. And I don't even mean that as an insult. It's marketing brilliance, but there's a difference between smart business and shameless greed. And here's the thing. Taylor's not the first to do it. Artists have dropped deluxe editions before, sure. But 28, that's not deluxe. That's delirious. And the worst part, fans defend it every single time. She's expressing herself. Now she's expressing her accountant's wildest dreams. Like, imagine buying every version you'd spend thousands and all for the same songs you already streamed for free. You're not supporting her art at that point. You're funding her yacht fuel. And before y'all say, I'm just hating. No, I'm not mad at Taylor for being rich. I'm mad at how she's doing it. 'Cause there's a way to make money with your fans, and then there's a way to make money off your fans. Guess which one this looks like? And honestly, it's kind of heartbreaking because she's built her whole image on being this voice of the people. The relatable girl who made it big, who still remembers her fans by name. But this isn't the girl with a guitar writing songs in her bedroom. This is a CEO in a glitter dress running a billion-dollar operation. You can see it in the rollout every limited edition. Another excuse to spend more money on the same music. And if you think I'm exaggerating, go look at the track list. It's identical across versions. There's no new content, just new covers. It's not even about music anymore. It's about number sales, streams, pre-orders, chart domination. And that's fine if you admit it. But when people try to dress it up as artistic passion, nah, come on, let's call it what it is. It's greed, polished, branded, fan-approved greed. And honestly, it's kind of genius how she gets away with it. Like literally, don't you share the backstage how you're recording stuff like Ariana does? No, just as a video to show the process behind why y'all have to pay for that. I'm sorry, your hard-earned cash. This level of greed is only described in the Bible and she possesses that. Okay, now this is where things start getting a little dark. Because it's one thing to sell 28 versions of the same album that's wild enough, but it's another thing entirely when you start seeing what happens to anyone who dares to call it out. I'm not kidding. The moment you say something slightly negative about Taylor's new music, your comment section turns into a war zone. I've seen creators, actual Swifties, post a review saying, "Hey, this album wasn't my favorite," and within hours their videos are flooded with hate. Like, what? Bro, they just said track 4 was mid. Not that she kicked their dog. And here's where it gets even weirder. It's not just the fans doing the silencing. Her team plays a role too. Like the whole copyright claim situation we're about to talk about. That's the perfect example because that wasn't some random hater. That was a massive creator. Someone who literally just spoke a few lyrics from one of her songs and got hit with a copyright claim for talking. Not singing, not using the instrumental, just talking. We'll get into that story in a second. But let's stay here for a moment because this is the bigger issue. Taylor's empire doesn't just make money. It controls the conversation. And the second you try to step out of line, the system pushes back, whether it's fans, bots, or billion-dollar legal teams. It's this cycle of quiet intimidation that keeps everything spotless. No major media outlet wants to go too hard on her because she's basically untouchable. YouTubers avoid the topic because they don't want hate raids or demonetization. Even critics tiptoe around their words, and somehow all of that works perfectly in her favor. It's like you build your image on being the voice for the voiceless. Then make sure no one else can actually speak. The irony is insane. You can't call yourself authentic if the only opinions allowed are the ones that praise you. And what's wild is that this isn't even an accident. This is how her whole brand thrives. Control every part of the narrative from the vinyls to the reviews. Nothing negative can stick. if the people who speak up get buried by the noise. And honestly, it's kind of genius in a terrifying way, because she doesn't even have to do anything. Her fans and her lawyers handle it for her. She just drops an album, sits back and watches the army defend it. That's the kind of influence you can't buy. Well, unless you're a billionaire. And I'm not saying she's sitting at home like some movie villain, but when every system, the fans, the press, the platforms, bends in your favor, you don't have to say a word. The money speaks for you. And if you think this is dramatic, wait till you hear about the YouTuber who got copyright claimed for just quoting her lyrics. That's when it goes from fan drama to something way more serious. Because when you can't even talk about someone's art without paying for it, that's not fandom anymore. That's censorship wrapped in luxury packaging. The rule of show business is if it's the first week of my album release and you're saying my name, or my album title, you're helping. That is not why people make art. Hi, I'm Anais. I'm a music journalist, and I have also been a Taylor Swift fan for 15 years. The Life of a Showgirl is objectively a bad album. An album is a narrative. It has a through-line. It tells audiences a story in the same way an author of a novel does. The Life of a Showgirl has no through-line. There is no clear narrative she's telling us on the project. Every song has its own narrative, but the album together does not make sense. All right, so let's talk about that copyright claim, because this is where the story just goes off the rails. So there's this creator, right? Huge channel, been on YouTube for years. Dude makes commentary videos, funny, smart, chill vibe. He's talking about Taylor's new album, giving some honest opinions, saying what worked, what didn't, nothing crazy. But then, and I still can't believe this, he gets copyright claimed for literally reading a few lyrics from one of her songs. Not playing the song, not singing the melody. He just spoke the words out loud and he got claimed. Like what? Since when do you need a license to speak English? The song was Wood, right? He read like 2 lines just to make a point. You know, like people do when they quote stuff in reviews all the time. And somehow, YouTube's copyright system was like, yep, that's theft. The man didn't even say it in rhythm. It was basically him reading poetry with disappointment in his voice. And yet, apparently that was enough to trigger a claim from Taylor's team. You know how wild that is? He didn't sing it. There was no background track, no melody, just words. And still, Taylor Swift was like, yeah, that belongs to us, I'm sorry, but that's next-level greed. You're telling me a billionaire pop star's team went out of their way to snatch revenue from someone for talking? Like, imagine owning words? That's not copyright. That's corporate telepathy. And you know what's even crazier? It wasn't even about protecting her art. It was about control. Because the video wasn't a fan reaction, it was a critique. He said he didn't like one of the songs, and magically that video gets claimed. Like, that's not coincidence, that's strategy. Now to be fair, he fought back and got it overturned. But here's the thing, not everyone can do that. He's a massive creator with millions of subs and a platform to call it out. If that same thing happened to a smaller channel, they'd probably just accept it. They'd lose their revenue, maybe even take the video down out of fear. And that's the point. That's how power works online now. You don't have to silence people directly. You just make it so expensive and exhausting that they silence themselves. And let's be real, Taylor didn't personally sit there and click claim. I'm not that delusional. It's her team, her legal people, her massive corporate structure doing what it always does. Protect the brand at all costs. But that's kind of the issue, isn't it? She's built this brand so huge, so polished, so untouchable, that it moves on autopilot, crushing anything that even looks like criticism. And it's not just about one YouTuber. Does this kind of overreach sets a precedent? Like, hey, if Taylor Swift's team can claim spoken lyrics, what's stopping anyone else from doing the same? You can't even discuss art anymore without risking demonetization. And that's terrifying. It's the perfect setup. You make billions off your music. You flood the market with 28 editions. And then when someone questions it, you get to take their money too. That's not protecting creativity. That's colonizing conversation. And I just have to say it. This wasn't a mistake. Maybe the algorithm misfired. Maybe the claim was auto-detected. Whatever. But the real issue is that a system even exists that lets a billionaire's team flag a YouTuber for talking. Because even if it's accidental, the result's the same. The little guy loses and the empire wins. And that's why this claim is such a big deal. It's not just about one video. It's about how untouchable Taylor's become. She's at a point where her power extends past the music industry, into platforms, monetization systems, and even free speech. So yeah, he got the claim overturned, sure, but it left a scar on the internet, because now every creator knows if you talk about Taylor, even politely, you better be ready. You might lose your monetization. You might get hate-bombed. And honestly, that's how real power works. You don't have to tell people to stay quiet. You just make them afraid to speak. Open resurface of Taylor Swift. I'm understanding that this is not someone that does this for the love of music at this point in her career. Maybe in the beginning she did, but at this point it is just greed, pure undiluted greed. Oh hell no. I don't want to hear you talk about Beyoncé again. Skip your mom V-room because she would never 28 versions of an album. 30, huh? Soon the number of variants will even equal her age. What? So yeah, the creator fought back and thankfully he won. The copyright claim got overturned. The video went back up. Everyone laughed about how ridiculous it was. But that's not the point, because here's the question that keeps bugging me. What if he wasn't a big creator? What if he didn't have millions of subscribers or a fan base to make noise, or even the confidence to challenge a team of corporate lawyers? And that's the scary part. The system isn't built for fairness, it's built for power. And guess who has the most of that? See, the creator could fight back because he had leverage. He could tweet about it, make a follow-up video, get the internet on his side. But for the average person, the smaller commentary channels, the new reviewers, the niche fan accounts, you don't stand a chance. You get a claim, you appeal, and it either takes weeks or never gets resolved. Meanwhile, your video's dead. The algorithm forgets you exist. And for what? For saying words that someone else copyrighted. Words that were already in the dictionary before Taylor Swift ever wrote a verse. That's what makes this so ironic. Her whole career is built on storytelling, using language to connect with people. But now the language belongs to her. You can't quote it. You can't critique it. You can't even repeat it without getting flagged. That's not connection, that's control. And the worst part, it's not even about protecting art, it's about protecting income. You can feel it. Every move, every claim, every exclusive edition, it all comes back to money. Taylor doesn't need more exposure. She doesn't need protection from a YouTuber reading her lyrics. But every time her team claims a video or shuts down a critique or floods the charts with more editions, it's the same message. And honestly, that's exhausting. It's the kind of greed that doesn't even look like greed anymore, because it's wearing a business suit and smiling politely.